Hi, everyone. Welcome to Galactic Retreat Embody Your Soul Mission. I am your host, Rayania Cheyenne. Today, I have the pleasure to have Neil Gaur with us today. Neil is someone that I respect a lot, that he is the founder of Portal to Ascension. And Portal to Ascension is a platform to host events and consciousness production to allow the science researchers and philosophers and channelers and all these amazing human beings to participate in co-creating and raising the consciousness. And I will let Neil talk more about that. So welcome, Neil. Welcome to the
Thank
show.
you so much. It's so good to be here. I really appreciate you having me.
Yeah. So Neil, I know we'll be talking about Portal to Ascension in our conversation, but I would like to start by asking you, like, what do you perceive is your current stage of your soul mission?
There is a huge crossroads going on for me right now. Just a big transition in my personal life, right? And then also with the business is all going hand in hand, even though some of these things seem seemingly independent, right? Like I just got out of a 10-year relationship and now I'm on traveling the world, connecting with a lot of people that I've worked with for so long and meeting new people, filming documentaries. And then on top of that, my whole entire platform is having a revamp. So we're creating a new website right now, fully immersed in it. The developers are working like hours and hours a day. In August, we're launching a whole new platform with, well, just an upgrade with thousands of hours of more content on it, with full-on interview section, documentary section, and an iPhone, Android app, Roku app. So the stage for me, right? Those are all the physical tasks that are going on. But the stage for me is the up leveling in production and impact. I feel we've had such a huge impact on the planet, but now we're becoming more putting in systems in place in order to really create a fully functioning, efficient ecosystem within Portal to Ascension so that we can become more exponential what we're doing. And with that also increases the level of video production of what's being created. So huge shifts in right now. There's a lot of risks as well involved in it, so there's a little anxiety involved in creating all this stuff, but I'm extremely excited for what's going to come. And it's probably going to be in the next 2 months or so.
Wow, exciting. I can feel a lot shifting. And yeah, you are right. It's like when you say when we are up leveling or when we are stepping into something that we feel called to do, but we don't know exactly everything, how it's going to pan out. We have that anxiety and that exhilaration as well. So what do you feel is the main theme that calling you to up level the platform?
So it's been a constant progression for some time as we've got, bigger and bigger. And the reason why I wanted to shift everything, just make it more like just, as I said, like a world oil like ecosystem, is I really see Portal to Ascension becoming even more of a megalithic media organization within consciousness. The dream and the goal really was when I first had the download in 2008, right, was I had a 20-year download, and it was showing me like music label, documentary filmmaking, ancient tours to ancient sites, multiple music festivals a year, conferences, live conferences everywhere that are in person, still 110 events online every year, conferences, summits, retreats, tours. So the drive really is to have our energy involved in every form of content production for consciousness, upliftment of humanity. So that is like the ultimate drive. And I had we're doing our first music festival in Sedona on October 23rd. So that's like the beginning of that, right? So, and then we're doing our first retreat in Mexico in November. So this year, not only all the things I said to you, but they're also the beginning of 3 other arms of Portal to Ascension. The retreats start this year, the festival starts this year, and next year we have a first full feature documentary. So this is all that's happening, but the drive really is to just get this information out to more and more people as we're waking up on the planet, as there is so much chaos and perceived division on the planet. The time really is now for more of this information to get out there. And since we've already created the platform, we already have kind of a foundation to do it. And now we're just basically building on top of that foundation.
So it is fascinating to listen to you talk about the expansion of Portal to Ascension and how you are inspired to create platforms to bring in more consciousness to a higher frequency of content, because I feel that's what we need. But how do you come to this place? Because I think it's very normal, like when we hear people already are established in their soul mission, it just seems so easy that you are just doing it naturally. And it also seems that you have a strong connection to what you are inspired to do. Share a little bit about that. Like, how do you know, like, how do you come to where you are today? Like, what is guiding you? What's the sense of like, okay, this is what inspires me, or this is what I feel I am born to do, or
So, I mean, okay. So it's interesting because this question is so loaded. Like, there's just so much involved in it, and a lot of like personal, just challenges I've had, and just my confusion of who am I? Why am I here? Right? Like, I used to say, this is like 2010, 11, because I'd been doing Portal Ascension since 2008. So that's 14 years. Is it? Yeah. So as I've been doing it, I quit Portal Ascension 4 times. I completely was like, because it wasn't one, it was just like so much energy and so much work with so little return for so long, right? I wasn't able to like support myself even. A few times I hit the road going on tours from San Diego to Vancouver and back down, just doing events after events, because I didn't want to work a mainstream job. And I was so into this information that I would only have enough money to go to the next city if I got paid for one city. Because I wasn't even like, it was like missionary work, you know? And so as all of this was manifesting, after a while, like a lot of synchronicities would bring me back to Portal to Ascension every time I would quit, right? And so my phrase was, I'm on autopilot for consciousness, right? That like, I can't do, everything I do comes back to this. Every conversation comes back to this awareness. Every interaction has that. Every relationship I have is to further and uplift myself as a conscious being and others. So I started realizing that like, it's just in my DNA, ingrained so deeply that even if I try not to do it and not to be this, it just comes back to it. And I wish I could remember the synchronicities. It's been 14 years and I have a bad short-term and long-term memory. So I don't remember anything. So but I just remember like how mind-blowing all these synchronicities were that made me come back to doing an event, a Portal to Ascension event. So like, to be more concise with the question, I came back to it through synchronicities multiple times. It's in my DNA, deeply ingrained. And even today, I am still look up into the universe and wonder like, who am I? You know, what am I? Because I don't have an ET, as I said earlier before this conversation, saying, hey, I'm an Arcturian being, you're an Arcturian being, you've come down here to do this stuff. It's just an inner knowing with myself. There's no external voice of some star being telling me what I am, you know? So, but if I was to come up with my own understanding of it, I am definitely a starseed that has been put here on this planet in order to help individuals awaken to the truth of who they are, with putting out content and awareness without the expectation to make any shifts. You know, I just do things from the fact that I love it. I used to have an expectation. I wanted people to change. Now I just create awareness, information, work with thousands of speakers, and it's completely up to the individual if they want to change, because my perception has shifted. I don't feel that being asleep is a bad thing. I feel that you can be whatever you want, and it's all a part of the experience of the universe. It just happens to be my signature this time is the awakening. I've had signatures on this earth that were to help people fall asleep. You know? I've been on the other side of the coin, you know? So like right now, my mission is to not only do everything I said there, but also to provide the linear, definitely the secular and the creative part, but the linear modalities, systems, technology for conscious presenters, researchers, archaeologists, all that stuff, to do their creative work, but not have to deal with all the other stuff.
Yeah.
How do you create an event page? How do you market yourself? Who collects the money? All that stuff. So I've created a whole organization that is basically a conscious event production company to allow people like yourself and other speakers to just basically be in the creative flow without having to cross over into like the linear part of it all.
That's beautiful. I there's so much, Jamie, in your sharing. So I'm just actually feel like, so how about for your personal, because you started mentioning that, the question involved a lot with personal journey as well. And as I'm sure many listeners will relate that, when we know what we wanted to do, like we wish someone could tell us like, okay, so and so you are here to, do this work. You're here to be a healer and helping people with their eye, whatever specifically. But I also noticed that a lot of us don't really have a strong guidance that we can, we have guidance, but we don't have a specific message that this is what you are here to do. So you almost feel like many of us actually got provided with a table or buffet to see what we want to go for.
Yeah.
In order to fulfill ourselves, or to find a meaning in what we do and what we are here for. Because why this life just feels, I guess everybody's in this process of searching for meaning.
Yeah.
And contribution.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like ultimately everything we do is what is part of our mission. And even if you choose not to be assisting people directly with like evolution, you're still living your path. So I think the reason why that no external force, which everything's us anyway, but no perceived external interdimensional being, celestial, extraterrestrial, is like saying, this is you, this is what you got to do, is because of our own free will to make our own decisions. And then and disempowerment, like how disempowering is it if someone else tells us what to do and then we just follow that because that's what that person told us? Because that's how human brains work. If somebody tells you, and you trust them that much and they tell you that's what you're supposed to do, you follow them. And that's what happens with parents all the time, right? Like how many parents have told their kids what to study? Mine did, and I wish I didn't listen to them on that. And so it's like, when a government tells you what you should do, it's almost like basically in the Roman days when you would be born and this is what you were going to be, and they tell you, what you're going to be. So it's very disempowering when it comes from anything off planet or anything on planet to basically go and say, this is how you should be. You need to listen to your own intuition. There was a time on Earth that our connection to the divine was so fragmented and fractalized. We still have a lot of fragments for sure, but so divided and separate that avatars would come onto the planet to give us reminders of this information, because of the veils were so thick. It was not easy for people to get direct information and downloads. There were those on the planet that definitely did it and they dedicated life to it. What's happening now is the age of the self-guru is on its way out. The age of the guru is on its way out. The age of the self-guru is on its way in. The self-guru is us working on our intuition, which is connected to our third eye, which is the decalcification of the pineal gland, and getting to a point where we're able to receive this information ourselves and fully trust ourselves. This system is designed in a way, I would struggle with trusting myself so much. And this system is designed in a way in order to perpetuate a lack of trust in self. Right. So what needs to happen is we need to realize that first do the inner work, because if you can't do the inner work, you can't trust yourself, because you're going to sabotage yourself all the time anyway, and your relationships. And we need to get to a point where we can trust ourselves so our intuition can kick in, and then we can trust the feelings we get. So the reason why a lot of these mediums, channelers that I know you've been having on this platform provide such great information, insight for people, is because they've been doing this inner work to receive data and then trust themselves enough to, without that, there's healthy skepticism and then there's just doubt, right? So you can be a healthy skeptic, which actually helps you improve your intuition, or you can just doubt that you're getting any type of downloads. So I doubt myself in many things in life, but when it comes to portal to ascensional work I'm doing, I have no doubts. I've seen the impact of what we do. We focus so much on not only the creative, secular energy of information, but we also focus on the evidence linearly. because all the stuff we talk about can be proven, you know?
Yeah.
So to me, that helps appease my scientific mathematical mind and be able to teach people that are like, this is all BS, this is all new age hogwash. Now we have all the information and the data really to show that energy is real. We do have an aura. It's called the electromagnetic field. We can travel interdimensionally faster than the speed of light using subatomic energy. You know, there are UFOs and ETs. Look at these government documents. It's all been proven at this point. So it's not about a question of like, is this real? It's real. Now we move on. What's the next step from that? How do we start implementing it on Earth and teaching the masses about this new reality that's been there all along? We just completely disconnected ourselves from it.
Yeah, beautiful. So I visit some of the conferences you host, and it's just so substantial in the information. And I can also feel that all the researchers and the scientists and also the channelers there sometimes just really give with their heart, like just wanted to support people to open up to the vast information that we were not exposed to before, right? And this is really the time of, I would say, enlightenment, in the sense that we get to know what is out there and what is the truth. And I love what you brought through is about trusting ourselves, because I feel one of the massive pandemic, or like, you know, one of the things that keep us from really exploring who we truly are or what we are here to do, and even to embrace our gifts, is the self-doubt. Like, as you said, we are educated, we are conditioned and programmed exactly to question ourselves, to hold external approval. So do you want to share your journey of, you know, coming through this trust through self-doubt, or to trust, follow your...
You know, I'm here in Mexico right now, and I came for 3 days down to Playa del Carmen to meet one of my friends who also works for Portal to Ascension. Her name is Raji, right? And she, we've been having these conversations the last couple of days, and I've been saying, like, it's so interesting because people really feel that I know what I'm doing, you know, and people really feel that I'm so in my mission and passion, and I truly am, and it looks like that. But I have like doubts that I've on myself, that I don't fully own everything, and I know where it comes from. That's the thing. The first thing is self-awareness. Okay, so like, and I'm just being completely open here, and that it really, okay, so it started from, you know, obviously there might be some past life connection as well, but you know, it's my upbringing really. As I was being raised, I wasn't really good in school. Okay. I didn't really, it's not that I wasn't good in school. I really didn't like give it my time and energy. I never did my homework, you know? So I did pretty badly, and I just kind of made it by, right? And I was also acting out because some traumas happened to me when as a child. So I was like the naughty kid, right? And I was born in England, and my parents would always have my back in the beginning because they always thought that, you know, the teachers were wrong. And then, so when I started doing so poorly in school, not doing my homework and everything, the energy quickly shifted to being like, you're not going to ever be anything, you know? And then, but parents are like really great individuals. And I'm like, as I think you know, is I'm Indian, right? So my parents are from North India. They moved to England when they were around 11, 12. I moved to the US from England when I was 12. And the whole Indian conservative kind of energy of you need to produce, these are the jobs that you get. Most jobs Indians get are lawyers, doctors, engineers, you know, accountants. And I completely went against all of that. I was super black sheep, right? And but on one level, I felt that I wasn't good enough because I saw everybody else be these things that were like these successful jobs. And I was also being told, like, what am I going to be? What am I going to do from my parents? Because of the fact that I wasn't going down that route. And then 14 years ago, I'm 39 now, so that was 25. Really, when I was truly, because I took a while to graduate college and get my bachelor's. I took a couple of years off. I went back. I didn't graduate till I was like 24, right? Because of like how I spread it all out. So 25, even though I'd worked a few jobs before, was really the beginning of like everything I was going to do career-wise. But what did I do? I chose to start Portal to Ascension. right? And even though I worked some jobs in between there, and not till 2015 is when I started doing this full time, and never done anything besides this full time since then.
Okay.
But from 2008 to 2015, that's what's that, 7 years of, right, of a lot of mishaps, a lot of, I don't believe in the word failure, but like, let's just say that linear word, in my parents' eyes, it was failure.
Yeah.
So I was like really told, you can never do what, you can never make a living of spirituality. They even had interventions from my uncles and my aunts to tell me to stop doing my work. Right. So the amount of times I was told not to do this, I'll never do anything and not become anything, and like I'm going to be a complete failure. I can't even begin to tell you. This is even before portal ascension.
Right.
So I'm working through those energies still, and I realized that some of my not limitations, but some of like the stuck energy that's stopping certain things going to the other level is my own self-doubt that has been imprinted on me from my childhood. Right. So, and I'm okay with it. It's not like I'm upset at that whole thing has happened. I'm happy that I have the awareness of what happened and how it's affected me. And now I'm actively like really focusing on it. And in the last few years, a lot of things have changed for Portal Ascension. We have become even more successful than before. And it is because I'm working this energy, I'm going through it. And I'm also redefining my relationship with money and finances and, and abundance in general. So these are all the things, just to speak specifically about like my self-doubt and everything, that I'm focusing on right now so that I could be the person I need to be. The business is growing. Portal Ascension is growing at such an unprecedented level. Next year, we're going to be creating, so our first retreat this year in Tulum is going to be a retreat to teach people how to build intentional communities. And we're going to create a whole constitution and spiritual practices for a community. We're going to build and live like a mock community for 12 days. Okay. And, anybody's interested, they reach out if they want to attend this. And the reason why is next year, we're going to get land and build a village, a Portal to Ascension village. So I'm on the fast track right now of really doing some inner work, because from all the things that are happening around me and the things I want to create, I really want to be the person that I feel I need to be in order to basically facilitate what's about to happen. Not just for in my local area, but on the planet. Things are changing, things are shifting. In our future, we may even have open contact with ETs. What kind of person do we really need to be in order to be the people that usher in this contact? And that's what I feel we all need to work towards, being these people.
Yeah. Well, there's so many threads I can go right now about the consciousness, the inner work to prepare us, to prepare for the open contact with extraterrestrials, and also actually the inner work with us when we are stepping up to, what we think is what we want to do, whether it's to become a coach, to become change career, or to create a community, or to create something that we feel it's our mission, or to work with animal. It's really, I feel like every step is a breakthrough of our inner glass ceiling, right? We all have so many conditionings and energy, exactly. As you could also say, energy and limiting belief that we actually received when we were childhood, and not to mention past life, like there are different dimensions, different lifetimes that we chose to experience, so that we are able to break through and break free all this limitation or dense energy.
Yeah, and I like the analogy of peeling back layers of the onion. We're pretty much doing that. And I'm realizing healing isn't a destination, it's an ongoing process. Because, even in Vipassana, Buddha's meditation technique is a great example of that. Because when you're done your own subconscious life healing, you start going to your past lives, and then you start doing collective healing for the planet. And you're really just bringing harmony to all of existence.
The thing I learned is that because I know you are able to provide the scientific studies of we are all connected. Everyone, we are all like 8 billion something population. We are all connected in the field. So when more of us actually start, are committed to doing the inner work to break through, to let go of those dense energy and limitations, we actually are creating the impact in the world, right? To elevate the collective consciousness.
Yeah, and a good example is the 100th monkey effect. I don't know if you heard about this, but basically, Yeah, I'll start to share. And I don't remember the full study, so I'll give the general thing, is that there's monkey populations all over the world, and around just over 50% of these monkeys started acting and doing something in a different way. And then all of a sudden there was a collective download, and all the monkeys around the planet that weren't even connected to those communities started doing things the same way. You know, the Maharishi effect is a great example too. The whole thing of like, that in this community, a certain amount of people were meditating to reduce the crime rate. And then there was a direct effect that evening on the crime rate. So this just goes to show that everything is energy. We're interconnected. We're in a creation, but we're also in a co-creation. It's very interesting. Ultimately, it's just one creation, and it's just one being creating itself infinitely. But there's a paradox. In the oneness, it's the one being creating itself infinitely, oneness. In the duality, which is still the oneness, but it's the perception of duality, it's the creation, but the illusion of co-creation. So it's like we have our own free will, we're navigating through it all, but at the same time, we can get together in groups and change our external reality. If all of us just right now woke up to the spiritual information you and I are into, like 70% of the planet, and we just had that awareness in our planet, in our brain, that could create an immediate change of our entire scenery around us, because we are collectively manifesting this world. This is a holographic projection of our consciousness. This is all vibrating energy. This is not solid. So the reason why it's so real is because we've collectively adopted a belief system of this reality. So if there was some sort of magic wand to make us all think and perceive reality differently overnight, our external reality will shift, right? And that's the thing. There is no magic wand. So what there is individuals like us just planting seeds, and then eventually we'll get to that reality. And this ties into the whole fifth dimensional reflection. What needs to happen is our thoughts create our reality. Our thoughts literally create the way I perceive this glass in front of me. So if we can shift our thoughts and to a fifth dimensional frequency, ultimately, the more and more of us get to that reality, eventually this reality will manifest into that fifth dimensional, whatever it may look like.
Yeah, definitely. I think the thing I've learned on this journey of, inner work and spirituality, if you want to say it, is really to come back to ourselves and know that what we do impacts the whole.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever we do, we are never too little or too small. It's like really coming back. I don't know why I'm saying this right now. I feel like just like coming back to the knowing that we are equally important and powerful.
Yes.
Our choices to see our reality, to create what we are called and what we like desire from our heart to create.
Right. 100% agree. And a good example of this one is that, like, maybe you're doing some hardcore work and impacting thousands of people worldwide through speeches, right? And like some people could, and I've been in those situations where other people are like, how can I do so much? Like, you're doing so much, I'm not doing enough. I want to do more information. I want to put more out there. But just imagine all those individuals that they had like a 2-5-minute interaction with along their path, and maybe just said a few words, right, to them that helped them navigate their reality, that ended up making them that person that became the individual that spoke to the masses, right? That individual might have gone back to their work as a CPA, right? But that person said 5 minutes of something to that other individual that inspired that person to go and have that impact on everyone. Everything that we do affects everything. No one is just 100% self-made on this reality. People say words and communication with each other. They inspire each other all the time. And the people that have had some of the biggest impacts have been inspired by some of the most amazing people. So we all are playing our role perfectly. And as I like to always say, even the person that you just crossing the street that says hi and shifts your energy for the day and allows you to go and give more love to your family because you just had an interaction with someone that just made you feel better,
Yeah, beautiful. I just feel like what comes through when I was listening to is that I know so many people are feeling the call to serve, whether it's to serve animal people or the collective. And I actually want you to share your experience, because you mentioned that in the beginning you were working part-time just to wanted to get Portal to Ascension started. And I know, like, Indian tradition are as you mentioned, like, it's about prestige, money, status, and wealth. And how do we really go through that navigation, when we start something? I mean, success, overnight success, I don't really think it exists. I think it's just a perception of people on the internet. Or like, so what could you advise people when they are stuck with the money, financial success? And
You mean stuck in being able to receive it, or they're stuck in just having money?
Stuck, like, they're wanting to do something, create a business or conscious.
Yeah.
Then they just
Okay. Yes.
okay, I don't have money and it's not going to bring money, so I
Right.
choose to stay in career that I hate, and I just like have the anxiety with.
So yeah, I'll give my journey as an example. So I've had so many jobs. I've had like 50, 60 jobs. I'm 39, and some of them had at the same time. And the reason why I had so many is because I would leave them very quickly, or I would sabotage myself to be fired because I really wasn't present. Like I'd be working on portal extension stuff on a computer and then they'd find out, something like that. And so the reason why is, one, I'm not really wired to work for anybody. I really feel like I do so much better when I'm creating these events and, being the facilitator of these events. So that was one thing. But another thing was that I was so passionate about this information, this awareness, that I would just like really not want to work anywhere else. And it would show up in everything I was doing, because I wanted to get back to doing this. And any chance I would get to be like, oh, well, this isn't working out. Oh yeah, I should leave and go back to doing this stuff. I did. And then I quit my job 4 times. Once I got fired, 3 times I quit. And each of those times was to do Portal to Ascension. And then each of those times I still ended up quitting Portal to Ascension, even though it was only for a few weeks, because I couldn't survive off it and going back to some sort of corporate job. So for a long time, I was at the whole thing of, you don't need to do anything else. You can just do your passion 100%. Then I started changing my perception. And even Bashar at a channeling I went to spoke about this, about like doing what you love and you're passionate about, your hobby, what brings you joy, and your consciousness business as this thing on the side and putting energy in there while still making sure you provide for yourself. And it's the path of least resistance. What's the path of least resistance of you being able to sustain yourself? Well, these things that I already do well at and that I can actually generate income from, but then how can I make space in my life in order to dedicate it to something that could eventually be, the thing that takes over? So that's what I ended up doing after 4 years. So around in 6 years, in 2014, I decided that, okay, I'm going to make that shift and I'm just going to work as a full-time SEO specialist for an engineering company. And I'm going to do Portal to Ascension on the side. And that was also a time where I quit Portal to Ascension because I was doing only live events before that. I did a webinar here and there, but I was doing mostly live events. And the live events, you got to pay for gas, you got to pay for planes, you got to pay for speakers to come out, you got to pay for a venue, you got to go to the city ahead of time to market to all the local people, go and post bulletin boards, right? So much energy involved with hardly any return, right? And sometimes a good return, but then it balances out. So I was like, why don't I just work a corporate job? And since I can't travel because I'm working a corporate job, why don't I go ahead and just create an online platform and eliminate all overhead costs and just do it online and see what happens? A year and a half later, I quit my job and Portal to Ascension. What we are now, started years before that, but the online university and everything started in that moment. So that was just one part I want to share there. A couple other things that a lot of times I've gone to channeling events and I've been to a lot of Bashar events and stuff. And he spoke at my first live conference. He was my first headliner at my first live event. And in 2012, it was a month before December 21st, 2012. It was like the 2012 event. And a lot of people go to these channelings. And what is the number one question, right? My questions are, who lives on this planet? What kind of music do they play? But a lot of people are like, what's my purpose? What am I here to do? I feel that energy has shifted and there's less and less people asking that these days than it was back in 2012. But a lot of people are stuck in the corporate world, stuck in retail, whatever, in the mainstream conventional reality where you're not really doing anything that is fueling the system of the planet. You're fueling a fake, phony system that is just created for us to just continue to work and to provide money to the elite. That's pretty much what the system is designed for. So a lot of people are in that, and then they have this feeling of what's my purpose, what to do. And the number one answer that I've come across from many different people is the art of being, right? It's not like about, and the one answer is what I just gave you. Have your passion on the side, right? Do whatever brings you the income. Don't create suffering for yourself if you don't have to, and try to really fuel it and create the connections to build that out, right? And then the other one is that there is no one purpose for everything. There is the art of being. The number one purpose of humanity is not to be a human doing, is to be a human being, right? And so what's happening now, and Dolores Cannon speaks about this a lot, and Dolores Cannon's last event was my first webinar.
Oh my God, wow.
Yeah, Starseed Summit. She transitioned 2 months after she spoke at my event, and I just released her footage on my YouTube channel for that event. And so she basically said that after, doing all these hypno regressions and everything from people, she was obviously getting a lot of information. But one thing was that a lot of people were incarnating because they just held the frequency. We're literally like beacons, not even figuratively, literally beacons of frequency and light, here to just anchor in energy, coming in with a signature of that vibration already, right? So the art of being, which is just being present, and the art of actually just existing because your existence has that frequency. But then our linear minds, our governments, our parents, our systems, the institutions teach us about progress, progression, production. You got to be productive. So a good a yardstick to measure yourself is why do you feel you need to do something? Is it because you have this underlying inner passion to help? Or is it also that you feel you're not being productive towards something? And is that based on some sort of collective or some sort of belief system you adopted along the way? Because now all of that being said, there's a whole other concept of being. What does being really mean? Doing the inner work to get to a state of being, to get to the state of inner peace. So if none of those other explanations work for you, then the explanation of, the way you can really make change on the earth is a way that you don't even need to go and affect other people. You can do it on yourself. Work on yourself so much that you become that individual, so that every interaction, every conversation you have with people, every hello you have with everybody emanates that frequency of being. Right. And if you're at that vibratory level, you're just walking around waking people up without even having to create an event. Those are my thoughts on that.
Beautiful. Just like that, just so amazing that you have Basha and Dolores Cannon in your event. That's so incredible.
Yeah, I loved her. Love her still.
Yeah, I think that is definitely something that not many people are. I feel like, just to know that our being here is already a purpose itself.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us actually, like you said, star seeds and light workers, are just here to emit, to transmute the frequency. Some are the transmuters, but wherever they walk to, they just really transmute the confusion and just raise the frequency of the space.
Right.
I feel like when we are being our original state, like the state without the confusion of the mind, just for example, when I'm really relaxed and I'm joyful, when I'm happy, I'm just really a happy person by nature if I don't worry too much. And then I notice that whenever I walk into a shop, very soon the space will be filled with people, clients and customers. And people will be like, like I can feel the space just lit up. So I don't really share this because I just thought, oh, that's very interesting. And until I now learn that actually many of us are here just to be the frequency shift alchemizer. So
right. Yeah, back to Dolores Cannon. like she said, there was a call out to the universe after the first atomic bomb. And the call out was that these guys are basically messing with interdimensional energy now because it's splitting the atom, and they're on a pathway that could create a lot of destruction on Earth. We need volunteers to come to Earth in order to help shift this. And, you know, maybe some of the beings rather have done it from the other realms, but there was the law of non-interference and the quarantine. The only way you can affect this planet on that level is by incarnating here. So all these beings started incarnating here to be that energy and that frequency. And now, you know, that was the first wave, as she said, which was basically the hippie generation. And now it's just like, it continues to go. So like, that's why it's inevitable to me. You see all this craziness and chaos in the world, see this division. But what's happening is that a lot of these institutions that aren't working for the betterment of humanity are starting to fall down. But as they fall down, our reliance on these institutions have been so ingrained in us that it might be a little chaotic because we rely on them. But the thing is, as a human on this planet, what do you really need? Well, and this is even open to interpretation, because you may not need all of these things: water, food, and a shelter, you know? So all these like fake, these like artificial institutions that have been created that we literally are like relying on so much that once they fall, like people are having like existential moments, right? Even if they went and we started fresh, as long as we're able to survive and have some sort of like comfort that we're, I guess, accustomed to at this point, we're still going to be okay, right? So when I see all this chaos and craziness in the world, it doesn't make me feel disheartened. It makes me realize that we're at the times where these things are basically going to be falling, so new things can be created. If you are attached to them so much, it could create a lot of suffering for you, a lot of struggling. But when you have this realization that no matter what, we're going to be okay because this is what we need, and there's still a beautiful planet that will support us, and there's abundance everywhere, then you have a different perception. So the same things may happen to all of us, but the way we perceive them will create the different ways that we basically interact with our external environment and each other.
Absolutely. And also the way we choose to be actually will open up to different frequency and different solutions, right? Because we are open to infinite possibility, but not in the fear, then we are open to new solution. Because I think that's also for the human collective consciousness. Right. We need to raise to certain frequency in order to find a solution to solve certain crises that we created. So yeah. Good. So talking about raising the frequency, and I think that's also one of the intention of this retreat is really for people to receive information and to open the mind and make perhaps, you know, through practical information tools that they can practice to bring ourselves out of the confusion or the denser energy, denser feelings. So I'm curious that what are your practices? Do you have certain practice that you do in order for you to remain in the heart center, to remain in high frequency, you know, because you're managing so much, you're traveling constantly, and how do you
I don't even know. I don't know how I do it, actually. I heard that I get asked that so many times. How do you do it? And I'm like, I don't even know. Like, that's part of the autopilot on it, you know. I'm also a human design manifesting generator, so like I'm always creating, you know? So that I'm also and you know, I say all these labels without being into labels. So it gives me you know, so I'm okay with saying like my Ayurvedic constitution is a Pitta Vata, so I have this inner fire as well. Like I just have all these different things that just go to show like what I'm here to do. My astrology, almost all of it's in one house, and it's the house of like I always forget my astrology readings, but it's basically like deep inner knowing, spiritual teaching, right? So it's like I have literally been crafted for certain things, and that's why I'm doing what I do, you know. And okay, so how I manage it from my own spiritual tools is I wasn't, you know, for the last 10 months or so, I wasn't working out enough, and I wasn't doing yoga or meditating. And just in the last month, I started getting back into it, and now I'm feeling much more balanced. So I've been doing yoga. I just did 2 yoga retreats back to back. I just got out of them. And so just working on fun, because as a generator with all this energy, sometimes there's too much energy. I need to dissipate it somehow. So getting into my physical body has been assisting me, really being grounded in my body, because I've had disassociation, been disconnected from who I am, my own body for so long based on childhood traumas. And, but then in regards to tools that I can use when I'm feeling anxious or ungrounded, my favorite tool is the voice, chanting. Yeah, I definitely listen to binaural beats all the time, frequencies, right? Help balance the right and left hemisphere. Sometimes I put on Om binaural beat frequency, so it'll be like hours and hours of just Om while I'm just working, you know? I love reggae. Reggae music actually helps me create a lot of work. Like, so I just put reggae music on and I'm like with this huge smile on my face, creating events, you know? But then when it comes to the chanting practices, I teach a lot of information on sound awareness, from the ancient use of sound to sound healing, how to be a sound healer, practitioners, humming and the voice, and the future science of sound. But in the voice component, I teach a few different things. There's the chakra sounds, the chakra seed sounds, the bija mantras, right? Ram, Lam, the Yam, those kind of ones, which you could do 3 times each. You just look up chakra seed sounds on the internet, do each one 3 times, and just see how you feel afterwards. And then there's another component, which is, taking away the whole, a lot of people believe, not within the spiritual community, but if you want to teach someone that's not maybe into all this, a chanting technique, they might not want to use the chakra sounds because it comes from Hindu and they feel maybe it's dogmatic, right? So the next level of that are the vowel sounds. The vowels were introduced to humanity a couple of thousand years. They were introduced before, but around 1,000 to 2,000 years after written language, vowels were introduced into written language. We weren't even using vowels in our own written language because they were so sacred. They were so sacred that they would only be used through spiritual practices. And so then all of a sudden, as humanity was de-evolving in consciousness, the sacred sounds that will activate your chakras were implemented and integrated into language in order for us to keep at a level of consciousness and continuously activate our chakras. So each of the vowel sounds correlate to chakra systems and energy centers beyond just the chakras. So I love chanting A-E-I-O-U, right? And you do full deep breaths, E-I-O-U, right? The whole thing, and do that 3 times each. That's one of the most powerful ones ever, especially when you get to the U, because the U, I don't know how my sound's going to pick up, but I'm going to do it right now, because the U, you can, so hopefully my sound doesn't cut out on this microphone, but you can feel that it's a full chakra activation that starts somewhere over here in your throat, maybe your third eye, goes down to your gut, and it goes like this. So as you hear that higher pitch in the beginning, the U, and it starts right here, you feel it in your throat. And then as you sing it, you literally feel the energy go down, down, down into your gut, into your root, and then it becomes really bassy at the end. So you do the A-E-I-O-U, which all connects to different chakras, and then the last one is like a full chakra bath. So when you do Ram, Lam, Yam, the chakra seed sounds, they're really correlated to each individual one. But when you do the vowel sounds, a whole other level of activation occurs. So that's one of my favorite ones to do. And then the last one is the humming, right? Because there's actually a book, and Jonathan Goldman, who's a good friend of mine that I've done events with, and I was so happy when we connected, because like he was the one that inspired me, one of the most people that inspired me to be into sound healing, right, from his first book. And then his, I think it's his second, might be his third book, is called The Humming Effect. Okay. And this book breaks down not only the esoteric and the ancient wisdom of humming, right? Before we were even speaking, we were humming, right? And the soothing element of it, but also the science of humming. When you hum, and you hum in a way that resonates your nasal cavity, NO2 production is created in your brain. NO2 depletion happens when you're aging, happens in Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia patients, and it creates this effect that creates this, like, basically calms down your entire nervous system. And it has the same effect as chanting the vowels and chanting the chakra sounds. So playing around with these are what I like to do. And then when it comes to humming, I like to play around where the sound goes. You can start humming, and then you can direct the hum to different parts of your body and bring energy there and healing. So those are basically my go-to modalities.
Wow, I feel like we could probably have another half an hour just talking about the sound healing. Yeah, I know that it's like working with sound is very powerful, and it creates
Yeah.
a lot of shifts in our energy field. So yeah, I would definitely recommend people following your practice, like the chakra sound toning and the I-E-I-O-U.
Yeah, A-E-I-O-U. So just the vowels, and just chant that sound out.
So without any intention, or do you recommend people just
You
play?
can always have an intention, right? But a lot of times when I chant it, it's to ground myself because I feel ungrounded, or I might feel anxious. I might have anxiety. Most of the time I do it was when I have anxiety, you know? So like, or if I'm going to go in a big group of people and say what like an example would have been to say a speech at my sister's wedding, I chanted before,
Okay.
things like that. Yeah.
Mm,
Hmm.
good. I
But you can have like an intention to connect with the star beings and chant.
agree.
There are
Yeah,
some channels out there that I've been connected with that do a whole chanting thing before they have the direct connection
yeah,
with the being.
yeah. I think, yeah, like toning. I think
Toning, yeah.
powerful. Yeah, good. Definitely. Definitely, I'll recommend people follow that. Just try and play and see how you feel.
Hmm.
I think that's the first thing to know, like you feel the shift in your physical body and awareness. So,
Right. So when I teach the courses, what we do is we like break that up. We do all of that right there, but say in a whole hour, okay? And we do the chakra sounds, we do the vowels, and then we do the humming. And after every chant, right? So we do like A 3 times. After every chant we do, I stop and ask people in the Zoom room, where did you feel that?
mm,
So it becomes very intentional. We don't just chant, go through it. We do one chant, we stop, we type where we felt that energy.
mm,
We look and see where people are feeling it. And it's interesting, 90% of people feel it where the chakras or the sound is actually for,
yeah.
right? So like ooh, right? Oh. So going oh, that's for the gut. That's for your sacral and your solar, right? So 90% of the people will say those chakras. So it's very interesting. The sounds, I haven't told them where they're from. I just tell them to tell me where they think it is. And it's always correct. And the other 10% of the people feel it all over the place. Because the thing is that these sounds may really help with certain areas, but sounds also go where they're needed.
Mm,
So if you need it in your third eye or something else like that, the sound will know intuitively where it needs to go in your body, and it will travel there.
yeah, beautiful.
Hmm.
Beautiful. Yeah, maybe I for this retreat, actually, I was intending to invite some sound healers, but I haven't been able to find them, connect with them. So, but definitely, I feel sound healing is one of the most powerful tools that we could just practice, because that's what we
Yeah,
come with, right? Like
yeah,
everybody has a voice, has a sound. Yeah.
right. And ultimately, we are vibratory frequencies manifested in physical reality. So, like, sound will affect sound, and we are made out of sound. And if you follow Dr. Emoto, right, and the water studies that he did, well, we're over 70, 80% water. So any external sound that's disharmonic will have a disharmonic, just like his things showed when they were shouting at the water. That is what it will look like inside of us. The more harmony we create, the more harmony we'll create inside of us. What we're in right now is a world where we have harmony, disharmony constantly bombarding us. We're like out of harmony, we're in harmony. What we're going to create, what we are creating, is a world that's in full harmony. And then once we have that full harmony within us on a consistent basis, we're not so bipolar with our energies, all over the place.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. So Neil, I wonder, like, as the time comes to an end, do you feel it's that really, thank you so much for this broad discussion, and I really feel that it's going to benefit so many of us. Do you feel that there's any message that we have that you would like to share that we haven't talked about today?
Yeah, I'll just say that like what's happening right now is there's a restructuring of society and civilization in general. That as everything is collapsing and being rebuilt. Just have this understanding that we're rebuilding. We have the potential to rebuild things with the new awareness that we have on this planet, the awareness that we embody within ourselves, even the linear awareness of the human psychology. How to raise children, how to mitigate traumas, how to heal from certain things. All of this data is out there. The old guard basically needs to collapse for this new one to manifest. And as there's a restructuring of society, there will maybe also be new communities, new countries, new nations. So many things have been prophesied to occur. We've been in this, as a lot of people might know, the Kali Yuga, this like dark ages for a while. The energy of the Dwapara Yuga, well, the theme of the Kali Yuga is hierarchy, authority, and delusion. Hierarchy, authority, and delusion. Okay, makes sense. The theme of the Dwapara Yuga is energy and sovereignty. So in the beginning of the Dwapara Yuga, we have electricity. In the close to the beginning still, we have quantum physics. What do we have at the end of the Dwapara Yuga? We are energy. How do we utilize that awareness? So we're just at the beginning phases right now of that. Plus the human sovereignty. We're learning how to be sovereign beings. We've had thousands of years of having our sovereignty taken from us, following leaders across countries with swords and spears to kill someone 2,000 miles away. That's what we've had for the last 2,000 years, not everybody, but a lot of the planet. So we're at this point now where we're reclaiming our sovereignty. And as we're doing that, we got to work out some of the kinks. So just like, just be present for it all, enjoy the ride. But inevitably, it's been prophesied, cycles of time show it. The position of our solar system in our galaxy scientifically proves it, that we're getting to a point now where we have the opportunity to really create something beautiful on Earth. And that's what we have in store for ourselves. So as long as we stay true to what the real purpose is and the mission on this Earth, we will arrive there, and just have trust in that process.
Yeah, beautiful conclusion for this conversation. And I definitely encourage listeners who are interested in the scientific studies and also anything to with extraterrestrial studies, then just please visit portaltoascension.org. And just also for those of you who are interested in creating conscious community, I know I am curious about that, then we'll be happy to share your information with Neil or contact Neil directly to find out more. So thank you very much, Neil, for being you, for being so courageous and just like passionate and with your vision, with your mission, and with your, I don't know, I just love your passion and your dedication and commitment. So thank you so much for the beautiful work.
Thank you so much too. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Neil. So thank you everyone for watching and listening, and I wish you a beautiful time, and remember to tune in to the interview tomorrow. And until then, have a beautiful day and enjoy your life being human. Bye for now.